Hello everybody, welcome back to Auntie Kylie's channel. Today I am taking over and I'm going to do something pretty special with you guys. I am going to teach you how to make a Serbian dish. It's a very simple dish. It is called Uzljevak and doesn't really have a great translation in English, but it basically just means to pour, like to pour something into a tray. It involves using just basic ingredients like potatoes, flour, a little bit of thickening cream, and water to make it pourable. So our main ingredient is obviously the potatoes. I like to use about 4 to 5 medium-sized potatoes. You basically just peel them and then you have to dice them. So to do that, I cut them into some slices and then I use those to chop them up into some squares. I'll show you how it's looking at the moment. They don't have to be perfect, they don't have to be any particular size. If you like them a bit bigger, then obviously it'll just take a little bit longer to cook and it'll be nice and fluffy. But yeah, I'll come back once this is all done. Okay, so now we have finished dicing our potatoes. They should look a little bit like this. As I said before, they're not perfect. They're all a bit different sizes, but we have them there. I did forget to mention, turn your oven on to about 180. The timing of the cook is different every time, so I'll let you know at the end of the video how long it took. But these are basically the rest of the ingredients that we need to add into our potato mixture. We are going to start off with a couple of eggs that I've already cracked into a bowl. You basically just pour them in, like so. And then we have to add some thickened cream. I'm just using this one. Now, this is my mum's recipe, and my mum doesn't really use measurements, so it's all very much by eyeball. So we're going to see how it looks, and then we might add more ingredients to make it look how it's supposed to at the end. So I'm just going to roughly eyeball a little bit of thickened cream into this. Probably that's enough. I think that was about maybe 1/4 cup, potentially. And then we're going to add a little bit of oil. I'm just using vegetable oil. I don't like using too much of this because it's quite oily anyway, so just maybe a tablespoon, like so. And now I'm going to add some plain flour, like this. Again, just by sight. So I'm just gonna pour some in until it looks okay. That was about maybe just less than a cup. We're going to add our water in before we add any of our seasonings, and that's basically just going to the tap and pouring in some water. Now, I don't know how much water that was, but we're going to mix it and we're going to see what it looks like and if we need to add any other ingredients in there. So now we're just mixing in our ingredients. I can already tell that we're going to need to add quite a bit more to this. So we're just going to add a bit more flour because I think I've used a few more potatoes that I'm used to. Okay, we'll just keep adding until it looks good. So we're mixing in a bit more flour into it. You can tell that it's thickening up quite nicely, but we do need it to be a little bit more runny, a little bit more pourable. So we're going to add a touch more cream, just about that much. And then I'm going to add some more water as well. Yeah. Perfect. Now we're going to mix this in. I haven't added any seasonings yet. I like to save those for the end to make sure that there's enough seasoning for the actual mixture. Okay, so we've added in all our main ingredients, and this is kind of the texture that we're going for. So you can see that it's a little bit runny, but it is still quite thick because of the flour and the potatoes. Now I'm going to add in our seasonings. These are just basic seasonings. So we've got some salt, some pepper, and some vegeta. And it's basically just to taste how you like it. So bit more for some salt and some pepper. You have to remember this is just flour and potato, so you do need a bit more seasoning in there to get some flavour. And vegeta, I don't have a lot left, but I think we have enough. It's just basically like vegetable stock. And then we're just going to mix that through, just to make sure that everything has the right seasoning, every bit of it, and then I'll come back and show you how I pour it. Okay, so now it is time to get it cooking. I like to use this type of pan. It's just basically what my mum used, so it's what I'm used to. We do need to oil the base, so I just use our vegetable oil again, and I pour a little bit in there, maybe about a tablespoon again, and then I'm just going to use this to spread it around, up the sides a little bit as well, because this will be a bit thick, hopefully. So we've got the oil nice and there, perfect, on the side. And now we're going to pour in our mixture. I like to mix it one more time just to make sure everything's nice and mixed. And then basically you just pour it in. All that potato mixture. This version has a lot of potatoes. I think using 4 potatoes instead of 5 might be a good call. But if you like potatoes, then use as many as you want. This is basically what it looks like, and you just pour it in and then you just level it out so there's not too much on one side. And that is basically it. We're going to pop this into the oven. We're going to see how long it takes to cook. I don't think it should take longer than maybe 30 or 40 minutes. But yeah, I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so it is out of the oven. It ended up taking close to an hour. For the first 40 minutes, I had it on 180 degrees, and then I lowered it down to about 130 for the remaining like 15-ish minutes, just to make sure that the inside was cooked. And this is kind of what it looks like. You can see that it's got a bit of color on top, and the bottom is quite nicely browned. But it's almost ready to be eaten. It's quite hot at the moment. I like to finish it up with some butter on top. You don't have to do this, but it's quite nice. So I just grab a little bit of butter, and then I'm just going to spread that on top so it's all nice and melty into the potato. Get a bit more. So now with Uzljevak, with this dish, it can be eaten just by itself. It's delicious just by itself. But it is also really nice with a side. Normally a traditional side with it is a spinach, egg, onion and cream dish that's cooked in a pan. And then you have that on the side, and this is like the dipping bread for it. Or you can have a satarash, which is like capsicum and tomatoes cooked in oil. But it is, again, very nice by itself. I'll cut this up and then I'll show you what it looks like at the end. And this is the finished product. So once it's cooled down a little bit, you just cut it into some squares and then you plate it up. It's really nice with some sour cream or with a glass of buttermilk. But we're just going to have it as is. Taste test.